Okay. So next, I would like to welcome to the stage Marc Green. Marc is the recycling coordinator from Pleasanton Garbage Service. His position was negotiated in the new contract, and he's been a great addition to Pleasanton Garbage and a great resource for our commercial businesses. He joined Pleasanton Garbage Service in 2018, July. And Marc's daily responsibilities include working with customer inquiries, addressing driver feedback of customer collection issues, and helping to establish best practices for customers. Marc has over 15 years of experience in the solid waste industry, working with customers on increasing diversion and compliance with both state and local mandates. And prior to joining Pleasanton Garbage Service, Marc was recycling coordinator and compliance inspector for Central Contra Costa Solid Waste Authority. So please join me in welcoming Marc.
Morning, everybody. We'll get going. Can everybody hear me okay? Great. So my name is Marc Green. Yes, that is my real name. And I was actually born on Earth Day. So you could sort of say I was meant to do this. So I just quickly want to give you a little bit of history about Pleasanton Garbage Service. And then we'll kind of get into some of the stuff that I do. So our founders, Bob Molinaro and Tony Macchiano, purchased the company back in 1969 when Pleasanton was just a small town of 12,000 people. Over the 50 years that they've been here, they've seen the community grow to over 80,000 people and introduced a lot of new things along the way. As the city was continuing to grow, they realized that there was not going to be enough space at the landfill, so they had to figure out how to handle all the material that the city was generating. So they were the first ones in Alameda County back in 1976 to create a transfer station, essentially where we bring all of the material that we collect here in Pleasanton, drop it off, and then long haul it off to local landfills. Again, as things were evolving and new diversion programs and recycling goals were being created, in 1991 they implemented our MRF, which you've heard about from some of the other speakers. That's our material recovery facility. So essentially we go bring all the recyclables that we collect back to that facility, have it sorted along the belts with both mechanized and humans doing the sorting, where we then bale that material and send it off to market to be recycled, as you've heard, oftentimes overseas. With that said, it's really important that all the businesses and your employees and residents do their job and really try to get us the cleanest, best material possible so that we continue to market that material. All of this is to say that PGS has and will continue to evolve. We're growing with the ever-changing needs and the ever-changing diversion goals, so both on a state and local level. So, our collection programs, as I'm sure most of you know, we collect garbage, mixed recycling, organics, and construction and demolition debris. Just want to highlight a few things with garbage, just a couple of reminders. Styrofoam, that would be considered garbage. Your film plastics, so your shrink wrap, bubble wrap, all those types of things should be going into your garbage container. Rubber gloves, plastic utensils, all of that type of material, some of which we do see in our recycling, so you can just kind of take that message back to everybody that that's garbage. And we do have posters available to you if that's something you need. On the recycling, single stream, so that means you can put everything in one container, which is really great. So we've seen an uptick in material collection. The problem with that is we see a lot of wish cycling. Well, this product should go into the recycling when in fact, due to all the constraints with China's national sword, that's no longer the case. So it's really important that we're educating all your employees on what can go into that bin. So it's much like you do at home: paper, bottle, cardboard, cans, plastic jars. But again, we're really asking that you make sure that that material is as clean and dry as possible so that we are able to continue to market that material. And one thing I do want to point out, we do not accept plastic bags in our mixed recycling program. So you can certainly have your janitorial staff collect that in a bag, but we do ask that you then have them empty the contents directly into the container. The bag just poses a contamination issue and ends up jamming up our machines. So it's really quite a big problem for us. The organics program, the newest program, basically this takes any sort of food that you can imagine: meat, bones, dairy, coffee grounds, filter, food soil, paper, yard trimmings, all can go into your organics bin. Here again, though, we have a stipulation. We cannot have plastic bags, black, clear, any sort of bag in the organics program other than a compostable, which is a certified compostable bag. We do see that, the drivers are now instructed to leave that material on site. They will tag the bin as contaminated. You'll probably call me and say, why didn't you pick it up? I will come out and tell you that there are black bags in your organics, and then we need to work on getting that material either cleaned up by your staff, or we do have to have that dumped as garbage for an additional charge. It's really important that we send the cleanest material possible to the processing facility. We are just the collectors, we are not the actual processors, so the guidelines for that are set by the facility we take that material to. Finally, our C&D program, that's pretty straightforward. All of your construction and demolition debris. If you're thinking about doing a tenant improvement or you've got new construction, we do offer debris boxes to help you with that. And we'll go a little bit more into that. So, garbage and recycling. PGS is happy to offer different size cans and bins for our garbage recycling organics program. We offer 35 or 96-gallon carts for all three commodities. In addition, we offer front-end loader service, or dumpsters, and those are available to you in either from 1 to 7 yards. PGS has rolled out its single-stream recycling program back in March of 2013. It offers that service to all of you as a 25% reduction that Becky alluded to earlier off the normal garbage rate. In addition, you can get one 96-gallon recycling cart free of charge. From there, if you need additional carts or larger bins, there is a charge associated with that, but again, it's at a 25% reduction from the garbage rate. Excuse me. Then we began our organics program. We rolled that out to everybody in January of 2017. Also available to you at a 25% reduction. And again, this is available in either cart or bin service. Generally with the organics, due to the weight of food, we don't like to go much larger than 2 yards unless we can really come in and have a straight stab to a larger bin. We don't want to risk injury to any of the drivers trying to move those bins, and if you're heavy food, it can be really difficult to move. So this is not only, it's a great incentive to get material out of the landfill. You're saving 25%, and we're going to get you into compliance with all the state and local mandates. And finally, on the C&D side, we do offer bins from 4 to 40 yards. We also work with the Green Halo program, so that's for tracking your diversion on a construction project. We'll help you get those tags loaded up into the system, so you'll be able to track all that over the course of your project. So if you're thinking about tenant improvement or new construction, give us a call. And this is kind of the highlight, the expanded services. Becky sort of stole my thunder. The new thing is, working in conjunction with the city back in September, we rolled out this pilot program for cart collection from prior was only available 1 day a week. Now we're able to collect those up to 5 days a week. I'm slowly bringing on more and more customers to do that. And again, as Becky alluded to, these are for those areas where we just don't have enough space to have, a lot of these enclosures were built back in the day, and it was one bin, you had garbage, and now we've got to introduce recycling and now further the organics. So hopefully by introducing these programs and this option, we're starting to see people get into compliance and increase diversion on site. And then dedicated recycling coordinator, that's me. So I joined Pleasanton Garbage back in July of 2018, and really my role is to help all of you get into compliance with Alameda County's MRO, which you're going to hear more about shortly, and California's mandatory recycling and organics laws. So essentially what you can do is you can contact me, I'll come out to your site, perform a waste audit, give you an idea of what I'm seeing in there, some cost analysis on what it's going to look like when we implement some of these new services. I'll help you with interior waste station setup and training of staff. I'll work with your janitorial service to train them as well, because oftentimes what we'll see is you're doing a great job on the inside with your staff, but we tend to see a disconnect with the janitorial. So we want to make sure that they're on board as well and understand the programs that you're implementing, and I'm happy to be there for that. So yeah, I mean, that's really what I do. So oftentimes you may even see me digging through your garbage without even asking. I do a lot of that as well, because I want to be out there ahead of the folks from Stop Waste, so we get you guys into compliance. And I will also continue to work with you after we've instituted the NO program. My goal is that we set you up for success as best as possible and make these programs easy and successful, because they're not going anywhere and they're only going to get more intense. In addition to the training, I can also provide posters and stickers and some other supplementary outreach material. And if we see that the first training wasn't enough, I'm happy to come out and do that as many times as we need it. I perform lunch and learns, really whatever you think is going to be best for your staff to make this as successful as possible. Basically, in closing, PGS is committed to the city of Pleasanton and its customers on ensuring the highest level of service and diversion. And as I say, these programs are not going anywhere, so we're all going to need to work together to really hit these goals. And we've been here 50 years. We look forward to being here another 50 more. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, one of the concerns that we hear mostly from our multi-tenant landlords is the challenge of having to work with so many diverse businesses within a common complex. And I'm wondering if you can talk about things that you can do to work with folks in that situation. It's very hard to control a tenant that you don't directly oversee, but still have responsibility for making sure that your waste stream meets all the requirements of the county and state ordinances.
Sure, that's a great question. What I found, unfortunately, it's as much as I like to go with the carrot, oftentimes it's the stick that has to sort of gets people's attention. When you've got a shared situation, obviously every situation is a little bit different because you've got, the way the leases are set up and such. What I try to tell them is if we're using shared bins and there's a contamination issue, and it may not be you, and it may, everybody's going to bear the brunt of that. So if you're hit with a contamination fee, or you get a notice of correction, and unfortunately get fined for that, I can't think of any other way than to try to sort of divvy that up to everyone equally.
No.
In terms of, so you sort of lay that groundwork. And then it's just, it's continual outreach from your property manager. There's work for me. Obviously, each business is going to be a little bit different, but it's really just ongoing. I visit certain properties many times.
So that was the point I was trying to get to. What can Pleasanton Garbage do in terms of offering assistance to people in those situations to help either convene with tenants, or I'm just curious about kind of what your approach is to those situations. I get the stick side. I'm trying a little bit of understanding what you might be able to offer in terms of coordination and facilitation on the carrot side.
Sure. Well, basically, I try to come out. Obviously, we would like to get stakeholders from each of those businesses, get a meeting together, and make sure that they understand what we're trying to do with that particular facility. I go in and work with each individual business and tailor, what's going to work best for them. Obviously, if you've got a restaurant versus a small office setting, it's going to be a little bit different. And it's really just that. You sort of set up that initial meeting, let them know what our program guidelines are and goals and what can happen, and then going sort of tenant by tenant, doing an initial.
So you are available to go tenant
Oh,
by
absolutely.
tenant. Okay, great. Good.
Yeah.
What's your contact?
Oh, sorry. Here you go. Forgot that slide. Oh, no. Sorry. There you go. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.